1. What's up, everyone? I hope my fellow night auditors are having a wonderfully boring shift. I put in my 2 weeks at my last hotel, and took a position that I'm overqualified for, closer to school. Since I am no longer working at my previous hotel, I thought you would all enjoy the story of my last shift there. I worked as the manager on duty for the front office, and since it was a weekend, there were 2 MODs. My hotel didn't get too many wild guests, since we were located on a military base. Having to show an ID to some buff guy in a bulletproof vest deterred these kinds of people for the most part. This particular evening, we had a wedding in one of our ballrooms, so aside from the noise, the evening was largely uneventful. Around 8 p.m., MOD hears glass breaking in the men's room, goes over to investigate and sees a drinking glass completely shattered in the handicap stall. MOD goes over to the gaggle of men, which includes Italian, Braces, and Ginger, and asks them what happened, and they all pull the "oh, we saw that when we went in there, it wasn't us" BS. MOD tells the banquet captain to keep an eye on them, and let other guests know not to bring glasses in the bathroom. 8:30 p.m. rolls around, and at this point, we were just tearing in that group of guys. Italian was dressed in this super tight maroon suit, and he was wearing a black satin shirt, basically completely unbuttoned. Braces, Italian, and Ginger walk by as I was saying something about Italian's outfit, and he stops at the desk. I freeze, thinking he heard what I was saying. Instead, he asks all 3 of us, me, MOD, and FDA, what our red flags were in a man. MOD flat out ignores him, but me, oh no, I respond with being unemployed. You may be asking yourself, why would you engage in conversation with these drunk idiots? And to that my answer is because I was bored and I had nothing better to do. Back to the story. FDA hesitantly begins answering their questions too, just following my lead. At some point, MOD went back into the office, which I assumed was because they wanted no part in the conversation. Italian suggests that he record and live stream the conversation, says he's a content creator, and tried getting our social medias. We both declined. They also tried guessing our ages. FDA and I are both 20, and they were like, "Oh my god, we should totally get you guys drinks," as if we did not literally just tell them that we were under drinking age. You know those content creators that walk up to strangers in public and ask them things like, "Suck dick or let your mama die"? Those were the kind of questions they were asking us. I'm entertaining it because, again, I was bored and I thought it was just going to be stupid, harmless questions. You can tell that I'm not taking it seriously, because when he asked me, "What's something you've never told your mom?" my response was, probably that I'm gay. I'm not fully gay. He proceeds to ask us, "What's your sluttiest story?" Huh? FDA literally says WTF out loud, so at this point, I go into full bitch mode. We're not answering that question. Italian then goes, "No, I'll go first. I held hands with a stripper in this one's car." I cut him off. No, we're not answering that question. It's extremely inappropriate, and we are quite literally at work. If you don't have a question regarding booking or reservations, then we don't need to be talking. Please leave. Italian and Braces walk off, while Ginger just stays leaning on the desk, swirling his drink. I run into the back office and tell MOD to call bar. The bar manager, we had worked together at a different hotel, and knew they would mess someone up if it got to that point. The MOD tells me that they already did, but he left property for a little bit and hadn't returned yet. As I'm telling MOD what happened, a guest ran up to the desk and asked for security. MOD goes with the desk into the ballroom with F&B, and a few moments later appears again to tell me to call the MPs, the military police. At this point, I did not know specifically what was going down, so when I get on the phone with the dispatcher, I tell them that it is wedding guests getting rowdy, and that I have reason to believe that it was the men harassing FDA and I. MPs show up within 5 minutes and head over to the ballroom. MOD returns and tells me that it was in fact Italian, causing a scene at the wedding. MPs end up detaining him at the front of the hotel. This was going on for around 2 hours, and I had no idea what was happening, as MOD was telling me to stay inside. Bar and F&B stayed around the desk with me, while also watching what was going on out front. Bar comes up and tells me to write a statement about what happened to give to the MPs as they were going to arrest him. I type one up, sign it, and pass it off to one of the officers. I ended up staying an extra hour just to rewrite a new statement on their actual paperwork. The Provost Marshal, I think that's what his job title was. Basically, the Chief of Police came in, asked me if I wanted him banned from the property. I said yes, and he was going to recommend to the garrison commander of the military base that he be barred from entering the military base in the future. I had found out what was going on outside by the valet. Apparently, Italian was asking the MPs why he was being held, and they told him that it was an active investigation, so he couldn't leave. He began shouting at them. He got one of his friends to record and live stream portions of him being detained. At this point, a crowd of immediate family had formed. He's shouting, "Mother, Mother, I'm being illegally detained! Do something!" All while his family members are telling him to shut up and not escalate the situation. So yeah, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. 2. Yesterday, I walked into my new coworker upset at the front desk. But this story starts with me working the week before, 7/13. A female guest stay was supposed to be charged to a company card at check-in, and it did not go through. She didn't have the card, and I had nothing to say that the card made for the reservation should be charged, per hotel policy. We need a physical card to check in. Despite my better judgment, I said I'd believe her, but I would need a card to put on as a placeholder, and would authorize it for $50. She was talking while I was checking her in to other people in the lobby. One of my biggest pet peeves, either talk or check in, no need to do both. But I told her she needed to get the company card, or her personal card would be charged. I made a note in the shift log about it. She never came back during my shift. At about 7 a.m. the next day, our accountant authorized the card on file, authorizing it all on her personal card. The lady came to the front desk at 1 p.m., and the AM shift front desk employee switched the authorization. I don't know for sure, but her authorization was released the next day, 7/15. Her card was never actually charged anything. Now we are up to speed. On me coming in on 7/19 for a coworker crying. The female guest had called and yelled at my coworker and said the authorization has still not been released, and this was ridiculous and her card wasn't supposed to be authorized for a full amount, and she needed to talk to the general manager ASAP. So my coworker ran up to the offices, but the GM wasn't there, and she came back to tell me all this. When she says the name of the guest, I remember it. I said, I'll take care of this. Don't worry over this anymore, and don't let people speak to you here like that. I know sometimes without being super comfortable with the system, you don't feel sure about how to respond to people on things like this. But remember, it's not your fault, and tell her you'll get her to the right place to resolve this. So I call the guest back. I say, my coworker said you requested a call back and the GM isn't in right now, but I am the one who checked her in. What seems to be the problem? She says her piece, and I tell her since we didn't have the card we authorized. She responded, "You didn't tell me it had to be that day. Everyone has gone from the office after 5. And I said, I did tell you that. I have no idea if I told her that. I do know I said if you don't bring the card, it's going to be charged to this one. I don't know if I gave a time frame. And she was like, I know you did not. So I said, actually, I remember your check-in. You were talking to people in the lobby while I was checking you in, so maybe there was some misunderstanding there. She was quiet and I said, anyway, you need to call your bank on this. If you need to refute it, that's fine. I can see we charged the other card, so if the bank calls us, we will back you up and tell them to release it. She was like, Okay, but I still want to talk to a manager. You said the company card on file was flagged for fraud, which is ridiculous because we had been using it to buy drinks all night. If you had been using it, why is it not available to swipe on check-in? And I was like, okay, she's not in right now, but what I can do is write her an email to tell her to call you and CC you on it. Is the email on file correct? Today, the GM emailed something along the lines of, check with your bank. A response, thank you for the follow-up email. It looks like the pending transaction was released and the funds have been restored as of this morning. 3. This happened about an hour ago and I'm still a little steamed about it, so I thought I would vent to folks who understand my pain. For context, I worked for a smaller national boutique hotel chain in a major city on the west coast of the United States. I've been a night auditor for about 2.5 years combined, but have worked all shifts at the front desk. I like to think I have very good customer service, but I've been told I can be a bit curt with problem guests. Not in an explicitly rude way, but in a you're nothing to me but a paycheck way. That makes sense. Okay, on to the tale. I started my night audit shift as usual at 11 p.m. It's a practically sold-out night due to several events in the city, including a major pop star concert. The night is fairly uneventful, other than about 20 calls asking if we have a room available for under $100. And they don't have ID and only carry cash, typical. Anyway, at around 3:30 a.m. I receive a call from the guest in room 672. Before he even tells me what's going on, he asks who he is speaking with. I sometimes forget to give my name when I answer in-house calls, so I usually just identify myself as the front desk, but whatever. I give it to him and ask how I can help. He informs me that his fire alarm is going off. I ask some clarifying questions to find out that it's just his smoke detector giving low battery. I run a battery up to the room, he hands me the smoke detector, and I replace it. Easy peasy, right? Of course not. That would make sense. He calls down again a couple minutes later and tells me the alarm is still beeping. Not too uncommon, since we buy batteries in bulk and occasionally get duds. But I want to make sure it isn't an issue with the actual sensor. I ask him if the alarm is beeping in a constant pattern of 3 loud beeps and then a pause, or if it was a slight chirp every 30 seconds or so. His response, if you think I can tell the time between these beeps at 3:45 in the morning, then you are very mistaken. Okay, show of hands, who thought I expected an exact answer to my question? Regardless, I apologize for the inconvenience, say I understand his frustration, but request that he not be rude when I am simply trying to help him. Well, apparently that was the incorrect thing to say. His voice begins to raise, and he says I have no right to call him rude at 3:45 in the morning, as I am paid to assist him. Well, I don't stand for people raising their voices with me, so I say I will bring him another battery and hang up. Unfortunately, because the phone and the receiver are both plastic, it always sounds like I'm slamming the phone down. Regardless, I grab another battery and head up to the room. When I get there, the detector is laying on the floor outside the room. I shrug and replace the battery and knock on the door, identifying myself as front desk. He opens the door, grabs the detector, but then comes outside and shuts the door. He then begins to lecture me for about 5 minutes on how abysmal my customer service is, and how I must not like my job since he's going to get me fired. Oh well, nothing I haven't heard before. Water off the duck's back, etc., etc. But one quote that always makes my blood boil. You're paid to do what I say. I can say whatever I want to you. Yeah, okay. I give my standard response to that sort of thing. You're entitled to your opinions, and walk away. Also, he tried to claim that he could smell carbon monoxide, which he said smelled like gasoline, in his room. Even on low battery, the detector would be going off if that were the case. I also could not smell anything, but even if I could, it doesn't make sense. Carbon monoxide is odorless. That's why we need sensors. Sent a brief text to my FOM, and typed up a more detailed report on the pass-down log. And that's the end of it, for now. I am apparently stuck with this guy for another 3 nights. Ugh. Well, that's it. Just another entitled guest who thinks by paying for a room, He also gets to abuse the staff. Sorry, buddy, not tonight. 4. Here's the story of one of the more interesting scam calls I've received lately. It's 3 a.m. and I'm minding my own business. I've just completed the audit and have about an hour before I have to start setting up breakfast, so I'm just chilling. The phone rings. Thank you for calling. This is Alyssa speaking. How can I help you?
Hi there, how you doing? I know it's probably a long shot, but is there any chance I could be connected to Andrew?
I'm sorry, sir. I can't give out any guest info.
Oh, sorry. I probably didn't make myself clear. I mean your boss, Andrew, the general manager. Can I speak to him?
The GM's name isn't Andrew. There was a former GM named Andrew, but he hasn't worked here in over a year. Also, what kind of GM is ever at work at 3 a.m. on a Sunday? I'm sorry, sir, but there's nobody by that name who works here.
You don't realize who I am, do you? You don't remember me. You don't remember what happened to me at your property.
I'm sorry, sir, but nobody named Andrew has worked here the entire time I've worked here.
How long have you worked here?
About 3 months.
Oh yeah, no. My bad, you wouldn't remember me then. This happened over a year ago.
I'm confused as to why he's calling about this now. Well, I'm really sorry for whatever happened.
You don't know what happened, do you?
I'm afraid not.
Well, the summary of it is that Andrew, the GM, had offered me unlimited free lodging at your property, no questions asked, any time, for life. This was because I had a major issue at your property. Do you know what I'm referring to?
I'm realizing this is probably a scam, but I want to see where it goes. I can't say I do.
What happened was that I found fentanyl in the coffee maker in my room. I was here with my wife and 2 small children. The room was great. It was clean, comfortable, no problems there. But in the morning, my wife was making some coffee for me, herself and our oldest, when she, by chance, decided to look in the coffee maker with the flashlight on her phone, and she found a hollowed-out tea candle with this yellowish substance in it I can only assume was fentanyl. If she hadn't by chance looked in that coffee maker and we drank that coffee, you would have had at least 3 dead bodies on your hands. I hope you understand the gravity of that. Anyway, needless to say, I went down to the front desk and absolutely lost it. I was jumping up and down, yelling, screaming all these obscenities, which I think is understandable given that you almost killed my family. Andrew, the GM, was absolutely mortified and said he would do whatever it takes to make it right. We agreed on free lodging at your property for life. Anyway, my family's in kind of a tough spot tonight, and we need a room immediately.
At this point, 100% sure this is a scam. I'm sorry, sir, but we're completely sold out. We don't have any rooms available.
Really? You don't have any rooms available?
Unfortunately not.
So you're saying if I came down there and put down $1,000 in cash, you wouldn't have a room for me?
Unfortunately not. Every room on this property is occupied right now.
Well, I can't. Just wow. I'll remember this. My family was in need tonight and you refused to help.
I'm not refusing to help. I can't help. Now have a good...
You know, I didn't go on Yelp when this happened.
Uh-huh.
Do you know who I am?
Nope.
Well, I'm the vice president of the Flatulent Traveler Monthly. So you can probably understand that I don't need Yelp. I could just snap my fingers and you'd be out of business. I hope you understand that.
Well, I'm sorry, sir, but like I said, we're sold out. So there's nothing we can do for...
I know, you already said that. I know how the game is. I just know that if you were to look up my name, there would be some record, some evidence of what your boss offered me. Then maybe you could give me a room.
Unfortunately, I don't have that info to hand, and like I said, we're completely sold out. So there's nothing I can do for you.
Well, that's fine. Your manager will be here in the morning, right? I'll definitely be stopping by to have a little chat.
And he hangs up. Surprise, surprise, he never showed up. And the owner of the property confirmed that there's no record of anything like this happening. Anyway, hope you enjoyed my story. 5. I've moved from night auditor at a tiny property to night manager of a luxury hotel a while back. I run a small team of 3 to 5 overnight. It's an interesting adjustment. Now, having cut my teeth in dirt motels and now running the show overnight at a fancy schmancy place, you can imagine my attitude is a little out of sync with other management. I've given my team full permission that if a guest is being disrespectful, to give them one warning. If they don't start acting reasonable, they can kick them out. They quite like this policy. Anyhow, a few nights ago I was in the back office working on the night schedule, and one of the auditors came to the back and said a guy out front was asking for a manager because the room rates are too high. Now, I'll level with you, our prices are insane for normal people. I wouldn't even be able to afford a regular night here. But our location is very central and lots of people stumble through here because of that. I came out to deal with the situation. Guess was a scraggly, middle-aged man that reeked of booze with a much younger woman with him. Hello, sir, I understand there's a problem. How can I help?
Yeah, there's a problem. That woman there just told me it's $369 for a room. I'm only going to be in it for like 5 hours.
That's our standard rate. Do you have CAA or work for the federal government?
No.
Then I'm afraid that's our best rate. Would you like to book?
I'll pay $150 max.
I'm afraid that's not possible.
Listen, man, I could drive 5 minutes down the highway and get a room for $80. Just give me the room for $150.
That sounds like a steal. Maybe you should go down the highway then, because our room rate would be $369 tonight. Then his compatriot spoke up.
You have the balls to say that to him?
Her saying this really lit a fire under his ass because now he was angry. He proceeded to call me a slew of slurs and vague insults. Okay, sir, I'm going to need you to calm down or you will be removed from the building. For some reason, he took this opportunity to begin filming me, while screaming that I was threatening to kick him out of the hotel. Then he demanded to know my full legal name. I gave him my first name, and he reiterated he wanted my full name. I said no. Then he started to posture himself as if he was about to fight me. I began to laugh and dialed 911. The local non-emergency line takes forever to get through the prompts, and this guy could get violent at any time, so I figured better safe than sorry. He kept filming me until I gave the 911 operator my name, and then he started hysterically laughing, saying he's gonna get me fired. Our central location came in really handy, because a cop was nearby when the call came in. I gotta tell you folks, seeing him go from smugly laughing in my face to very quickly being escorted out of the hotel by police, knowing he was likely on his way to the drunk tank, gave me some deep, deep joy. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 120. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do poke the like button. If you'd like to get the videos a little bit earlier, you can support me on Patreon for as little or as much as you like a month. You can also get yourself some Hellfreezer merchandise, both of which are linked in the description. You can make donations during streams or videos like this one, on a one-off basis if you'd like to do that too. This is not and is never required, but I do appreciate it. Alrighty, let's see. No other business today, I don't think, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, can you taste the difference between bottled waters if you're into drinking bottled water? I do. There's a few brands I like. I won't name them because we're not advertising them. Okay, fine, I'll name them, but I'm still not advertising them. Volvic and Buxton are the two I usually buy. Evian, if it's not full price, because, that's expensive. And if I can't get Buxton, I also buy, reluctantly, admittedly, Nestle Pure Life, which is literally the same as Buxton. It comes in the same bottles, just with a different label and a different color of cap on it. I think it's made by one company for the other. And I can definitely tell a difference in taste between all of them. For example, the Buxton and the Nestle are probably the least nice of them. They're not awful. I buy like 8 cases of them at a time. It does me a month. But I think the Volvic and the Evian are the two nicest ones. But that might just be me. Maybe you guys can't. So let me know what you think. Can you tell the difference in taste? Please let me know what you think in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.